There is a concern about an existing and increasing black market for human organs and organ trafficking, including human kidneys. The trade is said to involve syndicated cartels that extract human organs from patients for sale to local collaborators, who in turn find a market abroad, with the highest traders in the Middle East. Most of these victims are Ugandans desperate for employment who are always reportedly trafficked abroad, promising them good jobs only to admit them to health facilities where their organs are removed. Some victims are compensated with little money, forced on the planes, and die in the process. The culprits are always labor export companies, managers of orphanages, medical workers, and immigration officials, among others. Deputy National Coordinator Prevention of Trafficking in Persons says that the increasing cases can be attributed to the awareness that the ministry has been doing as a lot in sensitizing the public on the outcomes sticking out of the country for better paying jobs without proper documentations.
The reason you see that they are increasing is partly because of the awareness that has gone out. If you've realized, we've been so deliberate. Every month I do media briefings about the counter-trafficking situation in Uganda. That's a lot of information, which means we are channeling people who need to report, where to go to report, which is helping us a lot. Because previously, there were not so many reports. If you realize now, if we make it easy that, for example, the nearest police station, if you have a challenge, there's internal affairs, there are so many alternatives. Then we've also made people more comfortable to report. Because if you can imagine cases like sexual exploitation, it takes a lot of courage for a young kid to come out, a young girl to come out, because some of them are not even believed. Because if you report that my father is sexually abusing me, your mother will say, no, you're lying. Right now, the battle we have, and which we have to also, that's why I'm speaking also about the boy child. The stigma, a boy child cannot come out now clearly that I'm being sexually exploited. If you realize the person now who has been sentenced to life in prison, to spend the rest of his life in prison, Pastor Didas. You can imagine a pastor and a teacher. He was sexually exploiting boys, young children, 7 years, 6 years. So it was an awakening, for Uganda.
Meanwhile, Ronnie Mukundani, the public and corporate manager of the Association of External Recruitment Agency, explains that one of the main reasons for human trafficking is unemployment, and he also relates to the impatience of some Ugandans who do not want to wait for the legal frameworks as they look for quick options in which they fall prey to fraudsters.
First of all, trafficking comes from different reasons. One of them we normally say is underemployment or unemployment. It's a fact. When you look at what has happened now, even though trafficking was there before, but of course now the situation has kind of accelerated this whole drive. People have lost jobs. People want to work. And of course, the other thing is, yes, we have companies available, licensed recruitment companies, but they have to follow a certain kind of procedure to be able to externalize someone. I talked of 2 weeks training, which has just come in the new law. And most times, these people do not have that time to wait. So the legal way for someone to be able to travel may take more than 2 months because of the requirements, because of the processes. And sometimes people do not have that time to wait. So what happens is, because they feel someone has either deceived them and said, look, I will take you and work as a teacher, you'll earn 2 million, which to them they feel they should be able to travel immediately. So that has always caused a problem. But also what is being done is that we believe these bilaterals that I'm talking about, the minister and the delegation being in the Middle East now, if they could be able to sign off Qatar and the other countries, Bahrain and all that, if they could have more of these countries coming on board, then it would help fight the issue of trafficking.
Agnes Igoe advised by relating to the 4 Ps, which are prevention by getting more information to be more aware. The others were protection, prosecution, and partnerships as ways of preventing the rising cases of human trafficking.
You have to do, you have to prevent it from happening, first of all. prevention means, that's why you hear parish model, you hear the president talking about employment for the youth, you hear about industrialization, you hear about skilling, you hear about reorganizing our education system, that let's create people who can create jobs. All that is in prevention. It comes in awareness, like why I'm here today, to tell people that this is what is happening. Not everything that you said, is out there is glamorous. The catchword, if they tell you there is a job and they tell you that we are going to get your passport for you and they tell you that we are going to pay for your air ticket, you're not going to pay for anything. When you reach there is when you start paying. That is a red flag. Those people taking you, they also have relatives whom they can take. You think they love you too much. So you have to prevent it from happening. Awareness, 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 and fixing the challenges that are violence against women, going back to family. Then too, you have to protect the people who it has happened to. Because if you are sexually exploited, if you are trafficked, and you're taken, you have to be restored. You deserve protection. You deserve, somebody to be held accountable for what has happened to you. You need to come back and bring back your life, to where it was, and to actually deal with the challenges that made you move in the first place. And mind you, there's both internal trafficking and external, not just going abroad. Then 3, prosecute. Last year, we convicted, the 30. Let's give examples now, like the pastors and whom we are taking in. People who are committing these crimes, which means that, that's why you find that you cannot do it alone. Now we have what is called prosecutor-led investigations. Our prosecutors are working collectively. We are the investigators. They are doing a fantastic job. ODPP and our police are working together. They even have an online whereby we're working on a case and you share ideas. We train them. They share ideas, and even when you have survivors or victims of trafficking, there are also people there who are like, okay, do you need help here? So the more we collaborate, the more we are getting more and more results. And even protection, that's why even our NGOs, they support us a lot. We have a national task force under the Ministry of Internal Affairs where I'm the deputy. So we brainstorm all those things so that we work collectively. We have a national action plan, national referral guidelines, which we are following. We have to move together as a country and move collectively and systematically. Then it comes to the 4th P, with partnerships, interagency. You cannot finish trafficking alone as one agency, alone as a country. That's why you find memorandums of understanding between Uganda and Kenya. Now when you see that there's a transit route, when you are seeing Jomo Kenyatta Airport being used, you collaborate with your counterparts.
But one would ask, what is forcing Ugandans to travel and work from abroad, and at a time when we have happened to realize that this has led to the increasing cases of human trafficking? We caught up with some Ugandans, and this is what they believe has made the Ugandans look for greener pastures abroad. Most people leave because of money, and once they reach there, chances are high to get good jobs since everyone here is suffering. You may have capital of 3 million and the best you can do is get a boda or plot for a job abroad. There is no money in our economy. I personally am preparing to leave because even commodities like sugar and soap are expensive. Agnes Igoye, however, refutes that there is nothing wrong with going abroad to work. However, Ugandans should use the rightful path as well as know what took them there.
Actually, it's not the problem, but how you're living is the problem. It is very okay to go abroad to work. You have a right to move anywhere in the world. It is your right to move, but how are you moving? That's why we are saying move properly. Actually, travel should not be that something is forcing you. It should be voluntary. That, I'm going to better my life, or I'm having this job, but in an organized way. That's what we want. but there's nothing wrong with the women actually even moving for domestic work. The challenge with domestic work is that you demean it. You think it is, hey, how can a woman end up call her, as a house girl? But how come men are going to wash toilets? Why should they go to wash toilets? Is that a better option? It is dignified work. The only thing is that we traumatize it. Even that's why it shows how we treat our domestic workers at home. That is honorary work.
According to the 2021 data by the Human Trafficking Institute, about 75% of trafficking in Uganda is domestic or internal. It is further indicated that recruiters target girls and women aged between 13 and 24 for domestic sex trafficking and child marriage.